So we talked about my favorite books of 2019. Let's talk about some that I didn't really love. Hello everybody, today I'm here to talk about my least favorite, most disappointing read 2019, whatever you want to call it. Of course, as always, we're going to begin with a disclaimer because we just have to do that. So if I talk about a book that you love, that I didn't love, do not take any offense of it. We all have different tastes in this beautiful wide world, and that's what makes it great. So something I love, you may not love, and something you love, I might not love. So it's just different tastes. Just because I don't love these books doesn't mean you can't love them. That's just how it is. Everyone's got different tastes. So again, if I talk about a book that you love in this video that I didn't love, do not take any offense of it. I'm glad you loved it. I personally didn't, and that's okay. So I only have about 5 or 6 to talk about. I didn't read a ton of really disappointing reads in my opinion. Like I said in my favorites video, 2019 was just a year where I read a lot of okay books. They weren't like super, there was a few that were amazing and then there was a few that I didn't love. Most of them were just like books I liked, I just didn't love or hate. They were just straight up in the middle, which can be a good or bad thing. Take it however you want it to. Either way, sorry for the long intro. Let's begin into some of my, books I just didn't love. Let's just call it that. First up is a book I've talked about a lot in my kind of dislike for it, and that is Hot Dog Girl by Jennifer Duke. And I don't own any of these books, by the way, because if I don't love them, I don't know why they're going to stay with me. Hot Dog Girl was a book I was very much anticipating because number one, the cover is beautiful. Number two, the plot just sounded amazing to me. It was about a girl that worked at this theme park, which is a thing I love. I love movies about theme parks. I love books about theme parks. I love those niche type of things. I loved it. So it was about a girl that worked at a theme park and she was like the hot dog girl in the costume and she has a crush on this guy and things weren't going well and da-da-da-da. I thought it was just gonna be a fun, summery theme park book. And it wasn't. The main downfall of this book for me was the main character. I don't know her name at all. I forgot it. But she was just horrible. She had a best friend that she treated like crap, honestly. She had this guy that she really liked that she wanted to kind of steal from his girlfriend and she treated them like crap, and she was just horrible. Yes, she had character progression and then by the end she redeemed herself a little bit, but it was just the sheer fact of just how horrible she was. Like, I don't know. Some books I think are meant to have characters where you just don't like them, and that's understandable to me. But this book, I couldn't find any interest in the main character of how horrible she was. But the main character was my main problem with this book. I think if she was just a better character, I would have really enjoyed this book. But sadly, she wasn't. And yeah, that was probably my least favorite book of the year. I've talked about it a lot on my channel. So it might not be a surprise to you, but I wanted to really love this book. I had really high expectations for it, but sadly, they were not met. Next up is another one I was really anticipating, and that is Aurora Rising by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. They are the famous author duo that brought the Illuminae series, one of my favorite series of all time. YA sci-fi series where it's told in multimedia, and I loved it. It was just amazing. I read that a few years ago. I fell in love with it. So needless to say, I was very anticipating their new series. I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing because it's sci-fi again. But I didn't really like it. In this book, we follow it is sci-fi. We follow a character named Aurora who's kind of like frozen in time, and then she gets woken up and she's supposed to be on this planet, and then her family's not there, things like that. Like, we're all in space, and that's all I remember from it. I didn't really love it. It was very, very slow. Oh my goodness. It took me a long time to finish this book. The plot wasn't there for me. I didn't think it was super strong. I didn't love the characters a ton. The romance was taking it or leaving it. And I just didn't feel like it was a very strong book like their Illuminae series was. Now, there's a lot of people that love this book, and I can understand that. Everyone has books that everyone has different opinions on, of course, but sadly it just wasn't there for me. That could be my own fault because I was holding it to such high standards because of the Illuminae series. I don't know if my mind thought it was going to be very similar to the Illuminae series, which, if you're wondering, it is not. It is told in a traditional format like a regular book. The Illuminae series is not. So that could be my own fault for going into it thinking it's going to be something that it's not. But either way, I read it and I didn't love it. It just wasn't there for me, sadly. Next up is Slayer by Kirsten White. This is a book that I did enjoy. I just was disappointed by it, so that's why it is on this list. Slayer is a book set in Buffyverse, and if you don't know anything about me, one of my favorite shows of all time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I love it so much. I watched it when I was like 12 and I'm obsessed with it. I always have been. So when I heard there was going to be a Buffy book, you best believe your girl was all over it. So this book does not follow any characters that are in Buffy, such as like Buffy, Willow, Giles, blah, blah, blah. We actually follow a new character named Nina, and Nina is in the Watchers Academy. If you're like wondering what all this crap is, watch Buffy, I guess. And she basically learns that she is the last Slayer ever, and it kind of unfolds from there. Overall, again, this could be my own fault, much like Aurora Rising was, where I went into this with such high expectations of thinking it was going to be just like Buffy and things like that, and it wasn't. So that could be my own fault. So take that or leave that, whatever you want to do. I did think the humor was there because Buffy has this very kind of niche type of humor where it's very sarcastic, witty, and just kind of banterful in my opinion. And I did think the humor was there. The character Nina I just didn't love a ton. I didn't love the plot a ton. I wanted some characters from Buffy. That's just me being honest. But overall, I didn't love this book. Now, will I continue off this series? Yeah, because it's Buffy and my heart just feels like I should. But I mean, it wasn't like overly disappointing. I just wanted more from it. But again, I think a lot of it is my own fault because I was comparing it so much to the show, but it's hard not to when the book is, you know, based on the show. So yeah, there's that one. I don't know what else to say about it. Next up, we have one that might shock you, and that is The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This book, maybe I rated it a 4. I don't know. The more I look at it, I'm like, this is definitely a 3 for me. It was an average book. So yeah, like I said, I had a lot of average books, but I want to talk about this book because yeah, I think it did disappoint me in my opinion. I was hoping it was going to be a 5-star read. So this is the last book in the Heir of the Folk series by Holly Black. If you watch my favorite books of the year, you'll see the second book of this series, The Wicked King, was on that list. This is not, obviously. I didn't love this book for a number of reasons. Number one, I think it was way too short for a last book. Like, this book was barely 300 pages. I feel like it should have been 400 to 450. That's just me being honest. I felt like it was rushed. That was my main problem with this book. And I think a lot of that is because we got books 2 and 3 within the same year. And I think it was rushed. So at the very beginning of the year, we got The Wicked King. I thought that was a great book. That was my favorite of the series, honestly. And then in November, we got this one. And I feel like it just didn't, it wrapped up too fast. There wasn't a lot of character development. I wanted more Carden and Jude. I just wanted more from it, and it didn't deliver for me. So yeah, that's why I'm putting on my disappointed reads. I didn't dislike it like at all. It's not a 2 or 1 star for me. It was a 3-star for me, but it's disappointing because, like I said, it's a 3-star, but I really wanted it to be a 5-star because that's what I thought it was going to be because I love the first and second book so much. But yeah, I just didn't love it. I felt like it was rushed. I don't know if that was because I didn't know if the publisher wanted Holly Black to get this book out as fast as they can because the series is so hyped, or I don't know what, but I felt like it could have been longer and more, and I would have been much more satisfied. I could be the totally unpopular opinion here, but that's just how I feel about it. 2 more books I want to talk about that I just didn't love. Number 1 is The Lady Rogue by Jen Bennett. Jen Bennett is a YA contemporary author predominantly. Love them. I think they're fun. So this was her first foray into YA fantasy, and I thought it was gonna be fun. I was interested to see. I'm always interested when an author that predominantly writes in one genre switches to another genre just because that's interesting to me. And this one was kind of about in the 1800s, I think, or something, and they were trying to follow Vladimir the Impaler or something like that. I don't remember. And basically it's like a grand adventure of a girl and like her best friend going on this and trying to find her father, and mischief happens, things like that. I didn't love it. The plot was very, very slow in my opinion, and I thought it could have been more. I did like the friendship turn into romance. I did enjoy that. But overall, there was nothing amazing about it in my opinion. Like I said, the plot just moved really, really slow for me. I had a hard time understanding it with the Vlad and trying to compare it to Dracula. I wish it just would have been straight up Dracula, but that just might be my vampire love coming out. Who knows? But yeah, I wanted more from this because I do love Jen Bennett's writing, and I will continue to read all of her books because, like I said, I enjoy them. But this one I just didn't love. And it's a prime example of that you can really still love an author, but not enjoy every single book they write. That's okay, just like a musician. Are you gonna enjoy every single album they put out? Probably not. Or a show. Are you gonna enjoy every single season a show puts out? Probably not. You're gonna have favorites and least favorites. So yeah, this is a prime example of just that. The last book I wanna talk about is a thriller that I didn't really love. I always feel like I talk about a thriller in my least favorite books, but that's just how it is. And that is An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. So I read The Wife Between Us, I think in 2018, I think, and I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. It was a great thriller, one of my favorite thrillers. And then this one came out and I was very excited for it because I loved the first one, why not love the second one? And I did not love it at all. It was just a very odd thriller book. Basically, we follow a character who gets wrapped up in this like kind of character study or morale study, I should say, where like she has to take the survey and like, would you do this? Would you do that? And then she gets more into it, and the psychologist behind it is just kind of odd. And it's a very weird thriller book. I think a lot of people would like it. It's a very niche type of thriller book, but sadly, I didn't love it. It wasn't, I will say I enjoyed it more than The Woman in the Window. That's one of my least favorite books of all. Which a lot of people love, so I definitely have the unpopular opinion there, but it was such an odd book. The way it ended was odd. I didn't really find it thrilling a ton. I found it just very like this character study, morale study, and the psychologist got involved and it got all twisted and weird, and I was like, what is this? So yeah, I just felt like I feel like I should probably just mention it, so there's that. So there you have it. Those are some of my least favorite books of the year. You know, every year you read, you're gonna have some of them because it's inevitable, honestly. Like I said, I may have talked about a book that you love, and I'm so happy you love it. It's okay I didn't. I hope we can still be friends. I hope so. But either way, I would love to hear some of your disappointing reads. Did you have a ton, or did you only have a couple? If you had a couple, awesome. If you had a ton, I'm sorry, but I would love to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.